Princess Program. Book 1.
Chapter 9, The Winter Prom. Chris took a deep breath as he descended the stairs of the dorm, the soft swish of his emerald green dress brushing against his legs. The heels clicked faintly against the polished wood, each step measured and deliberate. At the entrance, Jason waited, his tall frame silhouetted by the soft glow of the evening lights. When he saw Chris, his face lit up and he stepped forward, pulling Chris into a warm embrace. "You look stunning," Jason said, his voice low and sincere. Chris felt his cheeks flush. "Thank you." You don't look so bad yourself, sir." Jason chuckled, taking Chris's hand. "Shall we?" Together, they strolled through the gardens that connect the dorm to the school, the evening's excitement settling over them like a warm blanket. The St. Joseph's School Hall was unrecognizable, transformed into a grand and luxurious venue. Twinkling fairy lights draped across the ceiling like stars, and elegant centerpieces adorned the tables. The sound of music and laughter filled the air as students from St. Joseph's and the Convent of the Holy Infant mingled with their guests. As Chris stepped into the hall, the room seemed to pause and go momentarily silent, or at least it felt it did. Conversations halted, and heads turned to take in the vision of elegance that he was. Even the girls who had mocked him during the athletics event couldn't hide their surprise, their expressions softening as they saw how beautifully Chris embodied femininity. For the first time, they seemed to understand that one didn't have to be born female to exude grace and poise. Jason leaned closer, whispering, "You've got the whole room captivated." Chris smiled shyly but allowed himself to savor the moment. "How do you know it's not you?" he said with a cheeky grin. The night was a blur of laughter, food, and dancing. Chris and Jason shared plates of hors d'oeuvres and sipped punch while joking about the awkward moves some of their classmates were attempting on the dance floor. When Jason finally led Chris onto the floor for a slow dance, the world seemed to fade away. They moved in sync, their laughter mingling with the soft melody playing in the background. "You're a natural," Jason teased, spinning Chris gently. "You can credit Nat for this," Chris replied, recalling the hard work he had put in with Natalie learning to walk and dance in heels, and they both bursted into laughter. As the evening wound down, Jason took Chris's hand. "It's a little crowded here, don't you think?" Chris nodded shyly in agreement, and let Jason pull him along by like a ventriloquist doll. They slipped out of the hall and wandered down a quiet corridor, eventually finding an empty classroom. The dim light from the hallway cast a soft glow over the room as Jason closed the door behind them. "This night has been amazing," Jason said, leaning against one of the desks. "And you've made it unforgettable." Chris's heart raced as Jason stepped closer, cupping his cheek gently. Chris put his arms around Jason's neck, and their lips met, the kiss filled with the warmth and emotion that had been building between them all evening. Chris felt like he was floating, his heart pounding in rhythm with the moment. The kissing got heavier, and so did the tension in the air. Jason's hands explored Chris's body, sliding down to his waist, caressing his backside. Chris let out a suggestive moan, and they continued kissing, pulling Jason closer. "Is this it?" Chris thought, "I'm going to be a prom night cliché." Chris reached for Jason's top shirt button, but as he did that, Jason's hand moved between Chris's legs, and when he came into contact with his hard bulge, he abruptly pulled back, his brow furrowed. "What's wrong?" Chris asked, his voice trembling. You're, Jason hesitated. Chris's breath caught in his throat. "I thought you knew. I thought you always knew I was a boy." Jason hesitated, running a hand through his hair. "I kinda suspected it, and I thought I'll be okay with it. In fact, I thought I'd like it. But now that it's so real, I don't know," Jason continued, his voice pained. "And I thought I could handle it. But now, I'm just not sure. I'm not gay. Also, what would my family think? How can we ever go public about us?" The weight of Jason's words settled over Chris like a heavy fog. "Whoa, that's a lot. So what is it that you need?" he asked, his voice breaking. "Do you want to talk about this now?" "I'm sorry," Jason said, stepping back toward the door. I need to think." "I'm so sorry. Without another word, Jason walked out embarrassed, leaving Chris standing alone in the empty, dark classroom. Tears blurred his vision as he sank into a chair, mascara running down his face, the night's magic shattered. The silence of the room pressed in around him, a stark contrast to the joy and laughter he'd felt only moments ago.
Princess Program. To be continued.